Well, hello there, YouTubers, tuberizers, and tuberetters. Short talk on Highway I-25, southbound back to Cruces. I thought I'd just kind of poke the camera forward. That way I can kind of hold on to the wheel. That would be nice. I just love these clouds out here. It's a beautiful afternoon, and it's not, sunset's going to come on in about 45 minutes, I reckon. Can I get a peek over there? Probably not. Anyhow, I don't really like most video presentations I see, and sorry about the dead bugs on the window. I whacked so many bugs this weekend, I don't know. Tried to scour them off 3 times. They're still there. It's like, how come somebody doesn't make glue out of something called bug guts? I mean, when it sticks to a window, just try to remove it, please. So anyway, we're coming up on Elephant Butte, which you may have just noticed. And I thought, I don't really like most videos of people sitting in cars doing this. Hang on. Kind of driving along. Why do you need to see me? Wouldn't it be nice if I was paying attention to the road? So to invert and hope that this works. I didn't do much in the way of production over the weekend, and there's an element to it that I don't want to make you seasick looking at that road all the time. I always try to keep my vision moving left, right, check the mirrors. If you just focus straight ahead, it kind of gets to you, makes you loopy, kind of hypnotizing. And anyhow, this is the landscape of what it kind of looks like down here in southern New Mexico. As you can see, a lot of scrubby junk growing. That stuff, some of it's mesquite, which is nasty, by the way. It's got some mean old thorns. And probably some juniper mixed in here somewhere. And basically it's all junk. But there's really not much cactus out there. It's just scrubby little clumps of grass that are pretty dried up. And I'm going to guess I could flip that visor up. Maybe you can see over there. There's a thought. And so, yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. And anyhow, I think I'm already going too slow. I just got out of a 65 mile an hour area that Johnny Law loves to patrol. And I've got pulled over once there. I've seen, I don't know how many times, cops out there. They just love that low spot because it makes you drop to 65. See, and nobody wants to do that. Out here, the speed limit's 75. I'm doing basically 76. I've passed a few vehicles, but anyhow, getting back to reality, that Bear Trap Ranch, boy, was I glad I went there. But anyhow, I didn't make a lot of videos. There was one, and I'll see if I don't even remember if I posted it at the Chow Hall. It was kind of brief, but we had a great talk last night. Went on probably 2 hours or more, and I don't know if I can somehow hijack a copy of that thing. I could load that as a video if I could figure out how to do it, because I know several people did record it. Anyway, it was good, just to kind of get together, memories and stuff like that. But I didn't want to do a bunch of filming of friends if they felt uncomfortable or self-conscious being on camera. There's a lot of people like that. I heard one time, and I don't know that this is true, but it sounds impressive. Some people, I guess for a lot of people, they fear public speaking more than death. That seems zany. Hey, you got a great view of the billboards. And so the situation was, I got up there on a Thursday, did a little tootling around. You might have seen a video or two about the Garden of the Gods or Pikes Peak or something like that. And I just love that little valley up there. But Bear Trap Ranch is changing. It's no longer an InterVarsity Christian Fellowship camp. Some other outfit runs and owns the thing now. They're still trying to make it into a Christian camp, and they're kind of having issues in terms of funding and whatnot. Because when it was in IV hands, the funding funnel ran a different direction. And so now they're in the position of being kind of strapped for cash. So I came up with an idea for the boss man, the guy who's kind of in charge now out there. I thought, I don't remember a place where I made such a fuss over the water. I just kept drinking the stuff. I couldn't get, it was just tap water out of the faucet. And of course they're tapping into a nice clean source way up high. But I thought, well, why not turn that into a merch item if you're trying to raise money? I mean, could pay. Of course, now getting all the bottles of water down that hill could get a little sketchy. That dirt road, I was going to do a video on it, but I didn't even trust myself to do this. A lot of the sections in there, if you're going 20 miles an hour, you're going too fast. and some parts are just ridiculously narrow. I can't believe that the county claims that they maintain that thing. Whoa, man, this guy just about took me out. Woo! Do you see that? That guy missed me by 2 feet. Man, he's all over the road. It is a little windy out here, but I'm glad he didn't nail me. That'd be ugly. He'd be on film too. How about that? Anyhow, we're everybody separated this morning. We went our separate ways. It was just real good seeing them friends and stuff. And I was very vocal as usual at the meeting last night. A lot of good jokes, a lot of good memories and stuff. And I just somehow that bond from 40. Supposedly, I guess I found out finally, it's supposed to be 1982. I was unaware of the year. I thought it was 83. But at any rate, since 41 years ago, a lot of things have changed. And, you know, when you see older folks and they've really changed so much, there was one guy, honestly, I had no idea who he was. I had to ask his name. And as soon as he said it, it's like, dude, you used to run the kitchen. He was a staffer with IV way back then. I got to get away from this guy. We're matching speeds for some reason. Somehow he caught me and then he stalled or something, and now we're doing the same speed. So he tried to pass me, just about assassinated me. That was clever. And I'm just going to boogie up on the speed here. The speed's 75. Right now I'm doing 82 to get away from Loco Boy behind me. And we're coming up on pretty quick. It's a little nowhere town. The mountains are kind of weird to look at. They look like the dark side of the moon. But there is some vegetation up there, although it doesn't look like it from here. And so these are not high enough to have any kind of pines or conifers or anything like that. And not even juniper. So it's kind of a blasted looking hillside there. Anyway, TRC is famous for hot springs. That was the name of the place for years, until Ralph Edwards came along in the 1950s and basically bribed the town to turn it into the name of his TV show, Truth or Consequences, and they went for it. And basically it included a national kind of promotional deal. Once a year, Ralph would come out and there'd be a parade, and you know, hey, you can get your turkey legs and caramel corn and all that kind of you know, festival food, you know, whatever that stuff is. And I like that sundown. I'm going to see if I can swing this and not assassinate myself in the process. It's too darn bright to see, I guess. It's actually very bright for my eyes, too. But anyhow, thanks for listening and stuff, too. I did get some nice comments, and I want to give a shout out, of course, to my friend Cindy. Well, you know, if you ever want to see a beautiful little valley, it's just tucked in there, and I did a little climb yesterday. No, it was Saturday. Yeah, that was yesterday. Seems somehow time is collapsing here. And we went up about 1,000 feet. It took almost 45 minutes to an hour. And that trail was horrible. I couldn't believe how ill-groomed it is. But anyhow, never mind. The view from up there, I wish I'd had the sense to bring my darn camera. I would have filmed something up there for sure, and of course I didn't. But didn't want to get a bunch of personal pictures with friends if they don't want to be on camera or anything like that. And, you know, being self-conscious, I understand that. I mean, I almost mastered the art, if you want to know the truth. But look at that, it's bad. Boy, that just rotting my eyes, rotting my eyes. Gonna get on home here in about a little over an hour and sit down, cool off, get the truck unpacked, and get ready for work in the morning. So it's kind of a big day, big weekend, a lot of emotional contact, a lot of good interaction with old friends. And if you ever get a chance to do something like that, I'm telling you right now, it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. And I told them folks that while we were there. I said, this is not going to happen again. This is a once-in-a-universe event right here. And I just loved, I was so glad to be there. And here comes Mr. 80. I guess I'm kind of popping the limit a little bit. These guys, I think this is the 4th or 5th since Colorado Springs. Now, the Springs is kind of almost 600 miles north of Cruces, pretty close. And I'm coming up right now into, I want to say, strong 80s land or 90s land. So I've got maybe an hour and a half, I think. Oh, heck to that. I can see exit 75. Okay, so exit 0 is where I'm getting off, so I got 75 miles. So I guess I was only off by 15 or 20. Pretty good. And anyhow, we had a good time, talked about the Lord and this and that, and you know, some politics and you know, just old guy stuff. You know, when you get old, you just don't see things the way you did when you were 30 or 20. And a lot of us were there in our early 20s, and a couple of them at that time were in their late 20s, which made them seem ancient to me at the time. But this is kind of what it looks like down here. This is called the Valley. What they mean by that is to my left somewhere, if you could ever get a glimpse of it, the mighty Rio Grande is surging ever southward. There's a lake out here somewhere. I guess they moved it. No, actually I missed it. Elephant Butte is behind me about 10 miles. Coming up a little while, there'll be another one down here. You hear them rumble strips, ain't that wonderful? This is so typical for New Mexico. Now, if you want to see a road built right, you know, engineered from the ground up properly, go somewhere else. This junk, I tell you, people can probably make a career out of repairing I-25. That's all you do. Just keep fixing it over and over again, because they've never once dealt with the basic problem. The reason the road cracks up into all these crumbly little pieces all the time is they never got the foundation right at the bottom. They skimped on that. They got a crummy compaction on a skinny load of substrate, and it will never fix itself. So they keep adding layers of new frosting to the top and forever repairing it. And that's kind of what you get. Roads that are always being fixed. I don't know how many times in the last 38 years between Cruces and Albuquerque, you always see some work going on out here. This road is perpetually under maintenance. I mean, every year. And after they fix it, see all these little cracks that are appearing here? About every 6 to 8 feet horizontally, I mean left to right across the lane. Those cracks, they will fix them. They'll scour this off. Here's a newer surface. This surface here will be cracking up nicely in about 8 months or a year tops. See, now we fixed this part, but look at the left-hand lane. They haven't touched it yet, and it's just a series of cracks. So what they do then is they come after it starts cracking up. See, the thing you do is you get like this really big caulk gun out, and you start squirting this black tar clop into the cracks in the vain and ridiculous hope that somehow deals with the problem. And that's New Mexico for you. Oh, I like this view over here. There's the mountains still have that strange, by the way, if you ever get to Alamogordo, the mountains facing Alamo kind of have a very similar look, kind of forbidding. But behind the mountains in Alamo, some real nice country up there, Cloudcroft, Ruidoso, and that stuff's got, the big pines and all the green stuff, all the good stuff down there. John Law's over here ruining somebody's afternoon or evening. See if I can find him right now. There he is. State cops, you'll never see out here, what do you call them? County sheriffs. They just don't patrol this road. It's state cops only. And if you're cruising this way, there will be almost always a state cop. We're very close to TRC. There will be a state cop very close perhaps to Socorro. And then that big dip in the road I just mentioned earlier. Those guys love to hang out down there. We'll call it a fundraiser. And I just was kind of struck by how my heart kind of, on one hand, I was just so glad to see these people again and all that, but it also seemed sad to me. It's like I walked out of there thinking to myself, well, this is really going to be the last time that we all get together. I mean, people are going to start dying of what they call old age, pretty quick. And, we already got folks who are either close to 70 or in their 70s, and it's like, I never thought the world was going to last this long. I never planned for this sequence. And let's call me unprepared. And Garfield's coming up. Means we're getting close to Cruces. Cruces is down south of us, kind of keep rolling this way. In a little while, and I don't think I'll be filming that long, when you get past Hatch, which is famous for chili, and it looks a lot like this, but it's more in the river valley, so it doesn't have these hills like this. But we're not very far from the river, lefty righty. But the trip, I drove out of there, and I thought, it's kind of sad in a way. I don't know that I'll ever come back in my lifetime, and I can't really put my finger on why that place is so important to me, other than I was working day by day with other Christian believers, working on a project that actually made sense, where you're doing real work that you can actually see, and it stays put for 50 years. You know what I mean? None of this stuff like we're going to have a blue ribbon panel and a commission to substantially revise our vision statement. Who cares? Shut up. And I like the looks of that. That's very New Mexican-ish, if you can grasp the concept there. Probably not a very good adjective. In fact, I don't know if that's an adjective at all. Mile mystery right there. I find these mile markers down here, they just forgot to print the number. We didn't have those stencils. And so, if you ever get a chance, make good friends with people. But the two things that really stood out to me over the weekend, besides this sad idea of, saying goodbye to a beautiful place, in my mind it's no longer IV, it's somebody else, and they're taking off in a different direction, and that's good. That's their thing. I mean, I'm not opposed to change. But the other thing that struck me was when that was happening in the early 80s, we did have TV, there was a thing called radio. There was no internet to speak of, or if there was, it was strictly speaking military or something like that. Maybe there was internet in 82, but it couldn't have been much. Anyhow, that little valley, what do you call them? EM signals can't get in there. So because of the way the thing is in a shallow dip there, I mean a pretty deep dip, a narrow dip between rocky edges, and so the net result is you can't even get internet in there, but they do have Wi-Fi routing nowadays, but it's only local to that building. So you get the Wi-Fi code for the ranch place we were in, the one I did the video about with all the work. Well, if you move 200 feet away from that, you no longer have Wi-Fi. And so I think that I made that connection over the weekend. We weren't being broadcast to by talking heads. We weren't being lied to by comedians. We weren't being lied to by politicians on the air. Now, if we wanted to find out what's going on in the world, it could happen. You can still go down to town and, buy a newspaper if you want to. But the isolation out of the media stream, now right now, it's 10 times, it's 100 times more persuasive than the old media stream through simply radio and TV. Now with the internet, it has opened a huge panorama of data download capacity, and you can easily import that now into the camp. That completely alters the shape of the thing. And I don't know if the current owners realize that, but they're going to go ahead and bring in the World Wide Web, and I cannot see how that could possibly add a thing. But at any rate, getting away from things, I kept hearing comments from people. I can't explain this. Over the years, it just seemed this was such a great place to pray, or I felt so close to God here, or something along those lines. And I could echo it, I mean, in good conscience, not trying to just be a yes man. Hillsboro. Used to have a Hillsboro apple fair, except nobody grows apples around there anymore. Used to. So it got to a point where they were bringing apples in from the next county to sell at that fair, which got kind of stupid. So they gave it up. This kind of hill right here, it's not a killer, but a lot of this kind of stuff down here. And if you're towing a trailer or anything, you're going to be the slowpoke, because some of these have a pretty good gradient on them. And when we consider at the end of the day, it's been a long day, a lot of driving. Started driving about 9:40, and don't ask me what time it is. Yeah, it's about 6:40 right now. So I've been at it about 9 hours, and still got at least one more to go. And I'm going to just go home, goof off, go to bed. And I'll try to remember to download this, and I'll check to see whether I downloaded the Chow Hall one, if you have any interest at all in what the chow was like up there. But the main thing I just wanted to capture a little bit of was the sense that these people trust each other. They're comfortable with each other. They've been friends now for over 4 decades, and it's a permanent thing. It's real. And when you can, this one's called Caballo. It's off to my left. Lake's actually down a little bit. I can see it over on that far shore, but not bad. Looks like they got a pretty good load of water in there still. I think they just about shut the river off last time I crossed it last week, so maybe we can get a scope on how much water's being released later. It's not that big of a deal. I knew they were going to shut it off sooner or later, but this is one of the main shutoff points I've talked about. I'm about 55 miles north of Cruces, I think, and maybe 60, something like that. And you meet people, you connect with them, you bond, and you don't realize until later it was the bond, it was the connection that made all the difference. In other words, God matters and people matter. The Word of God matters. Reality matters. Sanity matters. Truth matters. And at the center of it all is this grand gift of the Messiah joining his people. He worships the Lord with us. He is the true believer, and we believe in and with him. Now, when people say, I believe in Jesus, that could mean 2 things. Either it could mean I believe that he is the answer, the source, that's fine. Or I could say that he, the believer, just want to make sure, Johnny Law, I know in my corner here, got people passing me. I'm actually the slowpoke here doing 76. And that's kind of like that. Lots of times out here on this road, you'll see people doing 105 and stuff, which I think is kind of nuts. This guy blew by me relative to 9 miles an hour. Yeah, he's doing about 84, 83, something like that. And you see that kind of stuff all the time. And anyhow, just to kind of summarize, if I can weave some sense into this somewhere, please, will you cut to the chase? When you have these things joining in your life where you're actually connecting not with people on the digital screen, not with people in your imagination, real live human beings. We are psyche, we are soma, we are spirit/soul, we are body. And so I had an impromptu little sermon this morning because we didn't have a church service up there. Everybody's getting ready to go and packing up and stuff. And I said, here's my micro sermon for the day. And I preached it to 4 different people on 2 occasions. I don't know if it was well received, but there was no offering taken, so I don't know. Anyway, basically what I was saying, it's just basically ridiculous to say something like, you as a human being have a soul. Quit talking nonsense. That's blather. The reality is you, the human, are soul. You are spirit. You are body. You are your emotion. There's no alien project where you got just fractions of you hanging around. There's one you, and you are soul. To say that you have a soul sets up this ridiculous premise that you can somehow abstract yourself out of your body in order to consider your soul as a separate topic. How would you do that? By using the soul. That doesn't make any sense, sorry. And so it's like a picture. Think of a painting. I've heard this somewhere, so I'm stealing it. Think of a painting, a portrait of someone. But the portrait is trying to lean out of the picture in order to look back and see what the picture looks like. Except it don't look right now because the picture isn't of a guy looking at himself. And it's a little bit like that. We get into these recursive loops in terms of our identity or our fears or whatever's driving us nuts this week. And we form these weird loops where we cease to acknowledge that I'm the one viewing the situation. I'm not up in the grandstand watching people on the field. I'm participating on the field. But in order to do that, we will require help. Now comes the gospel. That's precisely why he came, by the way. Small world. What a coincidence. But he's so good. He planned this whole thing. And we're the ones who are just now coming to the conclusions in our own minds. Like, oh, this guy really is what it's all about. Oh, you gotta look at that sky over there. This is one of the things I love about southern New Mexico. Too bad we're remote. I can pull over and stuff. That's a real nice sunset there. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep rolling. I love the sunsets down here. Especially certain times of year, it's better. But anyhow, to sum up and hopefully close this thing down before the FCC objects that I'm using too much data, go find yourself somewhere where you can find a friend. You can see it in their eye, the soul in other words, if someone's smiling at you, you'll see it in their eyes, and that's a soulish thing. Learn how to do it, and you can read people. You'll be able to recognize friend from foe without having to do a whole lot of investigation. It's obvious. You begin to see who people are, and he helps us do it not in some, perjured way where we're casting stones at people based on the mildest of superstitions. No, look at this load. What is this guy carrying? I have no idea. It looks like some kind of pontoon thing. Well, that could be. Yeah, it maybe is some kind of pontoon deal. He's coming from the direction of the lake. People do bring out watercraft boats and stuff like that, go fishing and whatnot. So he's coming back on a Sunday with some kind of weird pontoon array. Never seen one like that. I saw these guys on the trail today. I just end with this. I have never seen these things. I don't know what they are. But there was an old comic strip, BC. You can look it up. And there's this guy, I think his name is Peter, in the comic, and he rides around on this wheel. It's just a wooden axle set in a stone wooden wheel. For some reason, this thing gets around by itself. So there were these guys that were on one wheel, one foot peg on each side, just like BC, except they had batteries. So they were driving these things up the trail, a little better than walking speed. And I thought, that looked kind of fun. I'd never seen a device like that. I have no idea what it is. Wheel stood up about 14 inches tall, maybe, I don't know. It was like a bike wheel in the middle. I just thought, man, that's some clever engineering right there. Someday I guess I'll see Marty McFly's, what's that thing called? That Fusion air scooter, I forgot. It's like a skateboard without wheels. I'm probably going to get the name all wrong. So I've been passing semis all day out here. I think a lot of them guys govern right at 72. And I'm pushing 76 right now. I like to lean over by one, and I figure John Law won't care. Have you a good day, and thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a blessed new week coming up, and whatever comes in the work, well, we'll just tackle it one day at a time. Make it happen. And have a good trip. Drive safe, and watch out for knuckleheads. We got him in spades out here. That truck just about nailed me. Have a good day. Bye-bye.